Hi, Casey.
Hi, nice to meet you,
Criminal
Ryan.
justice.
Yes.
I'm from mathematics.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Mandel. I'm the presiding officer of the UHD Faculty Council, and I would like to welcome everybody here, colleagues on the council, attendees, and everybody online. I would like to thank you all for your service this afternoon and this year on the council. And I would also like to mention, as many of us know, this is a new dean. This is our first meeting of this new faculty council, which this is the inauguration, and we are the first to do this. And so I want to thank you all for your participation and welcome you all here. A couple of housekeeping notes before we begin. As we can see on the screen, everything that we are doing is being live broadcast and is recorded. These mics are all live, and everything that we say is being recorded and is being broadcast. I just want to give a heads up to that effect. Again, I'd like to welcome us all here, and also want to mention that we have guests as well. And I would like to start, if we could go around the table real quickly, because I know a lot of us, but a lot of us do not know one another. If we could go around the table in the council quickly with your name and also your college and possibly your department. May we start with you, Dr. Nakamura?
My name is Mitsue Nakamura. I'm a mathematics and statistics faculty, so College of Science and Technology, and I'm here.
I'm Catherine Shoemaker. I am an associate professor of statistics, also in the mathematics and statistics department in College of Sciences.
I'm Billy Hinson. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Criminal Justice and Social Work.
Ryan Pepper, professor of mathematics, College of Science and Technology.
Casey Akins, I'm a lecturer in criminal justice and CPS.
I am assistant professor of computer science. My name is Subhash Chandra Pakri, and I am from Computer Science and Engineering Technology Department.
Jarvis Thomas, lecturer and program director of the BASS program in the College of Business.
Cheryl Dowie from the College of Business, assistant professor in management.
Judith Harris, associate professor of criminal justice, CPS.
My name is Jinxin Hu, assistant professor of accounting. I'm from College of Business.
I'm Chris John from the Management Department, College of Business.
Nasser Hussain, assistant professor of education leadership, Department of Urban Education, CPS.
Sarah Albrecht, assistant professor of bilingual education in the Department of Urban Education in CPS.
Jose Alvarez, professor of history, Department HHL.
I'm Daniel Perez. I'm a finance professor in the College of Business. Thank you for the invitation to be here.
John Roundtree. I'm associate professor of communication studies in CHSS.
Lou Fidel, senior lecturer, CHSS.
I'm Katrina Rufino, professor in the Department of Psychology, CHSS.
I'm Kenya Johnson. I'm assistant professor in social work, CPS.
I'm Tony Hong, an associate professor of communication studies, CHSS.
Arpita Shroff, associate professor of accounting in MBCAP.
Paul Mandel, and I'm a professor of Spanish linguistics in CHSS.
Maria Benavides, I'm a professor of chemistry and physics in the Natural Science Department, College of Science and Technology.
Gabriela Bolden, I teach microbiology, associate professor in natural sciences in the College of Science and Technology.
Emre Yılmaz, I'm an associate professor of computer science and from CSD.
I'm Ashley Petz. I'm an assistant professor of technical communication in CHSS.
I'm Nell Sullivan. I'm a professor of English in the English department in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences.
Isaac Elking, associate professor of supply chain management in the MDCOB.
And I thank you and I welcome you all. One other note, Dr. Benavides is our secretary and is busy taking notes. Again, I mentioned that all of the microphones are live. I would request that all of us as council members and also members of the public attending the meeting today, When you speak to the mic to make a point, would you please mention your name to begin with to help Dr. Benavides with her notes, okay? With all of that said, I would also like to welcome Provost Bordelon with us, who is going to talk a little bit about the nature of our council.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mandel. I just want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you so much for serving in the Faculty Council. And I'd also like to express my gratitude to Dr. Paul Mandel, Dr. Opita Schroff, and Dr. Maria Benavides for taking on leadership roles in this inaugural Faculty Council. What I'd like to do is just give you a brief overview of events. I know things have happened quickly. And just to kind of highlight some of the changes as we're moving forward with the Faculty Council. Over the summer, with the passage of SB 37 into law, the University of Houston system decided to move forward with establishing the faculty councils on each of the campuses. And then in accordance with SB 37, our Board of Regents requested to have the faculty council bylaws presented at their August 21st meeting. And at that meeting, one, they approved the bylaws, but they also dissolved faculty senates. And if you've been tracking other systems, that has also occurred in the month of August. Most of the board meetings were there where the systems dissolved the faculty senates, and that also dissolved the elections that had occurred prior to that. And then we moved forward with establishing the faculty council. Some systems decided not to at this time, but will be moving forward, most probably in the spring semester, with some form of the faculty council. So in all of the UHS institutions' bylaws, procedures for elections were identified, and then we did move forward with elections and appointments. And again, I'm very pleased that all of you stepped up, were part of the elections or part of that appointment process. And we also, moving forward, and this was in President Blanchard's, one of President Blanchard's emails, talked about the shared governance structures on campus. So on our campus, the shared governance bodies include the faculty council, the staff council, student government association, and then the Graduate and Professional Student Association. And then the new Faculty Council bylaws also resulted in a change in the shared governance committees or councils. And that includes Faculty Affairs, University Curriculum, and we now have a Research and Innovation Council. And that membership, as well as the charges, are outlined in the Faculty Council bylaws. And this occurred across all three institutions in the University of Houston system. So all three have very similar committee or council structures. And faculty council participation is also included on the Academic Affairs Council and the Policy Advisory Council. And I know that the membership on these councils are going to be discussed today. And as we're looking at moving forward, it's so important that you are part of those councils, that your voice is heard on those councils. And again, as part of this body, that you are engaged and involved in that process. And it'll also be important, and this is something that was in the bylaws, that at future meetings, at the faculty council meetings, that you are apprised of the work that's going on in these councils. Many times there are questions like, what's happening on campus? How do we get this information out? And this is a body that the councils can share what's being worked on, as well as other committees or councils across the campus. There may be times when that information is brought forward. And as faculty council members, it's important for you to also share it with your departments, your colleges, and so forth as information is being disseminated. There is also a website that is available, and a lot of that information will be posted on the website. So that way, because I know in meetings sometimes it's hard to write down everything, but we want to make sure that that information is in your hands, that you're able to point people if there are questions, or to share that information off of the website. I know change is difficult, without a doubt. And this is a big change as we're moving forward. But the collaborative work that needs to be done is fostered through the faculty council and the other shared governance entities on our campus. Information sharing as well as bringing forward topics for further discussion will be important as we're moving through this process and moving through this academic year. And while this change may be difficult at first, I do strongly believe that it does open up opportunities. And I think as we are looking at this as an institution, there are opportunities that we have to be able to continue the collaborative work that needs to be done, to engage in those conversations, to again move the university forward as a collective body. And so again, your input, your engagement is extremely important. So again, I'd like to just reiterate my thank you. I know it takes your time away from the other work that you are doing on campus, but this is extremely valuable. So thank you for being part of this faculty council. Thank you for your work. I look forward to working with all of you as we move forward. And again, continuing those conversations, continuing the dialogue, and really looking at how do we work together to move the University of Houston downtown forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Provost Bordelon. In line with what the Provost has just shared, I want to thank everybody who so quickly participated in, participated in the elections. Pardon me. Participated in the elections that we were asked to participate in so quickly. I have the results here, and one of the things I also want to mention is that you see the camera here. The screen here, unfortunately, is not available to the camera. So if you see, I want to share what's there on the screen with us. If anybody would like a hard copy of this after the meeting, I'm happy to provide that with you. As far as those results were concerned, we had a number of councils, one council that we were voting for from the General Faculty Assembly according to the bylaws, and the result to that, in terms of with the Research and Innovation Council, we all nominated and elected Dr. Kit Cho to the for a one-year term, as well as Dr. Natasha Perez. We ended up with a tie, and so Dr. Catrino Rufino has been nominated to the two-year term, but we still need to vote for either Dr. Zafiris or Dr. Poggio to the two-year term. May I hear a motion for a vote?
Motion to vote. Oh. Luke Fidel, CHSS, motion to vote.
Thank you. May I hear a second?
Second. Nasser Hussain, second.
Luke Fidel.
Second.
Nasser
Hussain.
Thank you. All those in favor of a vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
So all in favor?
It's unanimous.
Unanimous.
May I hear or see a show of hands for Dr. Zafiris? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There's one. Did he come?
9, 10, 11, 12. May I see a show of hands for Dr. Poggio? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I started over there.
9 votes.
9.
So it seems as if Phyllis has 12 votes and Poggio has 9 votes.
In that case, Dr. Safidis will be our second person for a 2-year term on the Research and Innovation Council. Thank you all. In addition to, thank you all for responding so quickly and so well with the self-nomination results. We wanted to get to a place for these important councils for the university in terms of shared governance, that they get their work underway quickly. And so I'm pleased to be able to share a number of results. However, I'm going to start out with the faculty council at large position. We had 2 positions open for the faculty council at large to join Dr. Schwab and Dr. Benavides and me in the executive council. And we have 4 candidates: Dr. Judith Harris, Dr. Nasser Hussain, Mr. Luke Fidel, and Dr. Kyle Moore. And so I would ask, Ms. Lepler is handing out ballots. Would you please pick 2 off of those ballots?
Paul, is it possible to have the candidates introduce themselves briefly?
May I have a motion for?
Oh, I move that we have the candidates introduce themselves, since we might not know everybody.
That was Dr. Sullivan. May I have a second?
Dr. Shoemaker, I'll second that.
Dr. Shoemaker, seconded. All those in favor?
Second by whom?
Second by Dr. Shoemaker. All those opposed? In that case, could we please have a very brief introduction on the part of each candidate? Dr. Harris? Sure. And please make sure to speak into the mic.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Harris, Judith. I'm in criminal justice, an associate professor. My specialty is reentry and service learning, experiential learning.
Thank you, Dr. Harris.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hussain.
Yes, I'm Nasser Hussain. I'm an assistant professor of education and leadership. I serve for the Department for Urban Education for the last 5 years at CPS.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hussain. Mr. Fidel.
Yes, Luke Fidel, senior lecturer. The reason I like to serve on this committee is because this committee, I think, needs a lecturer's voice to protect lecturer faculty. We don't have the luxury so much of having our tenure track faculty do, so it's nice to have our voice on there, to have someone always from our lecturer's perspective of what we think about different things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fidel. And Dr. Moore.
Hi, I'm Kyle Moore. This is my 3rd year at UHD. I'm an associate professor in the arts and communications, focusing in technical theater. Just happy to serve, excited to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. If you would all rapidly then check 2 candidates and then pass your ballots to the end table, Ms. Leffler will pick them up and bring them to Dr. Benavides to the county. Dr. Brown.
I have a question. I don't know if I can make a motion. On the Qualtrics form, John Roundtree, sorry. On the Qualtrics form, it asked us to self-nominate, but also rank our preferences. Can you clarify how that those rankings came about with what we're doing right now?
Ms. Leffler worked with ranking and responding to the Qualtrics, and then took all of the data that came in from the people who responded and leveled them that way. And what I'm going to show are the where people placed according to the preferences that they requested, and were put to the first of what they requested, and then we used the others to place people so that we had proper representation on all the councils as was needed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So with that in mind, with the Faculty Affairs Council, I'm pleased to report that we have Dr. Cheryl Dowie from the Maryland Davies College of Business. We have Dr. Sarah Albrecht from the College of Public Safety. We have Dr. Catherine Shoemaker from the College of Science and Technology. And we are still lacking a representation from the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Ms. Leffler has informed me that the Qualtrics are still open for responding, and what we'll look to do is rapidly as possible is to fulfill those empty spaces. I would also like to say, however, and what you're going to see in these results are very few spaces, and I want to thank my colleagues very much for your participation in this self-nomination.
Paul? Nell Sullivan here. I did nominate myself for that, and I'm from CHSS, and I don't know what happened with Qualtrics, if it malfunctioned or...
That we listed everyone's first choice.
That was my first choice. That was my only choice. Was it Faculty Affairs or Academic Affairs?
I believe it was Academic Affairs.
Yeah, that was my first and only choice. So it was Faculty Affairs.
Yeah.
What did we just look at?
That was Faculty Affairs.
Oh, that was okay, I thought that was Academic Affairs. Okay.
No, okay.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, hold on.
I'm getting old. All right.
I also would like to request a little forgiveness. We've been at this for a week and a half, and so we're doing this as well as we possibly can. And I'm sure I also speak on behalf of Dr. Trump and Dr. Benavides and Ms. Leffler. So from University Curriculum Committee, we have Dr. Jarvis Thomas, again from the College of Business, the Maryland Davies College of Business, Dr. Billy Henson, the College of Public Safety, Dr. Subash Bakrin from the College of Science and Technology, and again, we still have an opening for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. For the Policy Advisory Committee, we have Dr. John Roundtree from the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. We have Dr. Kenya Johnson from the College of Public Safety. We are still needing a candidate from the Maryland Davies College of Business, and as well as from the College of Science and Technology. And then finally, from the Academic Affairs Committee, we have these were at large and were not college specific. We have Dr. Hugh, we have Dr. Petz, we have Dr. Sullivan, and we're lacking one more. According to the bylaws, I will be part of the Academic Affairs Committee as well as Dr. Shaw. And so those are the results that we have. And again, thank you so very much again for participating in this. It's in such a rapid way. It was important that we get this done as quickly as possible. And I'm pleased to report that Dr. Benavides has... That's all.
Okay. So, Luke Perro, 24 votes. Judith Harris, 13 votes. Nasser Hussein, 8 votes. And Kyle Moore, 11 votes. So, based on these results, Luke Perro has 24 votes the most. And then it's going to be Judith Harris.
We look forward to your participation and joining us with the Executive Committee of the Faculty Council. Again, we meet 2 weeks prior to this meeting to discuss the agenda and the workings of the Faculty Council. Thank you so much for participating, and also thank you so much for the votes. Yay. The next topic I want to bring up is on this agenda is a question about the 2025 faculty handbook. when we had the first discussion, our first meeting at the executive committee, we met with Provost Bordelon and a number of the academic vice presidents. Dr. Quander is working with the handbook as it is right now because, again, as Provost Bordelon indicated, there have been so many changes that have happened since May to now that for example, all of the references in the faculty handbook that made reference to the faculty senate needed to be switched out and needed to be adjusted. May I ask Dr. Quander to come to the microphone and speak to us about the work that she's doing with the handbook?
Yeah, hi, I'm Judith. I'm the Associate Vice President for Faculty Affairs and Faculty Development. So at the end of the previous academic year, there was a faculty handbook task force, and they did a great job of updating, because we had the 2019, and so 2025. But when we discussed it, knowing that it needed to make some updates to it, we decided that we probably should have a second kind of task force that has representation from the faculty council, just to make sure, because while some of it is just replacing faculty senate with faculty council, there's other places too. So, and I won't get into the specifics now because I can't remember, but I just know that when I was reading through it, I was like, oh, okay, this is more substantive than just changing out the names. So I believe what Dr. Mandel's going to do is ask for someone or a group of people to join me in looking at the updates, and the goal would be to be done with it by the end of the semester. So hopefully, I mean, the previous version is great and it's pretty much done, so it's not that much work. Yes.
John Roundtree. So I was on the subcommittee on faculty senate that worked on the handbook. Is that the task force you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Are you good? Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Quander. As Dr. Quander indicated, then, do I have a motion for discussion about this the faculty handbook?
I make a motion to discuss the faculty handbook.
Thank you, Dr. Hussain. Do I have a second?
Daniel Perez, second the motion.
Thank you, Daniel. And I open the floor for discussion, again, with the idea that Dr. Quander is going to go through and work as far as terminology is concerned, but are there people on the council that would like to participate in going through and looking through the faculty handbook with Dr. Quander?
Chris John, how many people do we need? This is the
It probably wouldn't need to be a very large task force.
Okay.
And again, as Dr. Roundtree mentioned, a lot of work has already gone into it. But I brought this up actually because when we had the conversation about this at the executive committee, I expressed that I felt it was important that faculty have an opportunity to participate in this, such that it wouldn't be imposed on us that way, that we would have a voice in the faculty handbook.
Gotcha.
And so I'm imagining maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 people, but basically to go through with Dr. Quander and look at the faculty handbook as it is now.
Isaac Elfing, oh, sorry, I'd be willing to join on that.
Your name, please?
Isaac Elfing from the MTCOB.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Pepper?
Ryan Pepper, I'd volunteer as well.
Thank you, Dr. Pepper. Anybody else?
I'm volunteer.
Casey Akins from CPS, I volunteer.
Thank you.
How many people?
3 or 4 would work.
I'll volunteer.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Benavides. May I hear a motion to close the discussion?
May I ask a quick question first?
Certain,
Just an
Dr.
informational.
Sullivan. Would you please identify yourself?
Oh, sorry, I'm Nell Sullivan. Judith, is this going to affect our SACS? I know we've already turned in the SACS report, but don't we have to have a working handbook to pass SACS COC?
Yes,
Okay.
and what was submitted was the 2019. However, and this is kind of maybe the timeline thing, we'll have our on-site visit in the spring, and it would be nice to present our updated one, I think, as part of that, so good point.
Thank you, Dr. Quander, and thank you, Dr. Sullivan. May I hear a motion to close the conversation about the...
Daniel Perez, motion to close the conversation.
May I hear a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, I need to see. Who,
Daniel Perez made the motion,
Daniel,
and Dr. Jean seconded.
and it was second by whom?
And Dr. Jean, Chris Jean,
Chris Jean.
and Dr. Thomas thirded it.
I'm gonna leave it at the second.
Okay. That's on the short term. On the longer term, we also need to be thinking about the faculty ombuds position. The person filling that position is filling it through May. And so Dr. Quander has brought it to light that we will have a search committee underway. And if anybody would either A, be interested in the position as ombudsperson for the faculty, or would be interested in serving on the interview committee and the committee to select our next ombudsperson, please be thinking about that. Again, Dr. Quander, would you like to speak to that?
So I'm not sure if everybody knows what the ombuds person does. They're supposed to be a neutral party. They advise faculty on issues of conflict, and they play a big role in advising faculty who are going through the grievance process. I have to go back and look, so don't quote me, but I think they get at least one course release per semester and then a summer stipend. The present requirements are that you have been tenured for at least 10 years at UHD. So we're looking for a veteran, a person who has had a lot of time. We have addressed, so whoever joins this committee will join me, and I haven't asked him yet, but the current chair of the grievance committee, I was hoping might join that too. And so if we had 2 or 3 people from faculty council, I think that would be good. We have a job description that we'll need to look at as a committee. And then the timeline is that we'd like to get the person in place in April. So there's at least a month overlap with the current ombuds and the new ombuds.
Are there any questions for Dr. Quander? Dr. Roundtree?
Yeah, John Roundtree. Did SB 37 change anything about the ombuds position?
No. Well, there is not our ombuds position.
Okay.
So I think there may be one state ombuds, but ours is just Brandon House.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Jean?
Yeah, it's John. I would like to join the search committee.
Okay.
Now position.
Okay, thank you.
Daniel Perez, I also like to join the search committee.
Daniel Perez. Thank you.
One more person.
Okay, search committee.
I'm Ashley Petz, and I also volunteer to be on the search committee.
Awesome. Okay, I will email you. Thanks.
Yes. Okay, great.
Thank you so very much. One of the regular purposes of the faculty council will be to keep us or offer a forum in which we can talk about and be updated about what the councils are doing that are part of what we do in the way of shared governance. And to that end, and I will also, so I included on the agenda for today's meeting, Dr. Ryden, Dr. Quander, and Dr. Bordelon to talk about those 5 councils. They will not regularly be on our agenda, but for the purposes of the inaugural nature of our council, I have invited them to speak about the nature of the charges of those councils today. And so Dr. Wright, and I've got your flow chart. if you'd like.
Okay, well, I'll talk about that in half a second, I guess. But my name's David Wright, and I'm the AVP for Programming and Curriculum here at UH Downtown. I'm also a professor of history. I was going to talk first about UCC, the University Curriculum Council, and thank those of you who have recently put yourself forward to serve on that committee. We'll be having our first meeting kind of off cycle this Friday, surprise to you, and it's, well, you'll have a meeting invite soon, it's in the afternoon. That first meeting, the agenda is really to do two things, go over the structure of UCC and maybe how it will operate going forward. And also to discuss some major programming changes that are coming forward. As you can imagine, there's this pent-up, I suppose, supply of proposals coming through the curriculum system at the moment. There's some prioritization of new programming kind of going first because it has to be approved by UH systems, so that we kind of have to triage a little bit what we address first. And a lot of, for those of you who are from MDCOB, we've got some important changes coming from MD, not only new programs that we hope to get in the next catalog, but also some revisions, not so much in the requirements, but the structure of the MBA program, which is really, really important to UHD, not just the MDCOB. Are there any questions anybody has on, as was mentioned, I think the hope will be one of the members of faculty council will be regularly giving this body reports as to its activities, as opposed to me. But if there are any questions, sort of. Oh, okay, and I have handouts too. It's the same as we had before us up there, but I got the feeling that it was going to be, we'd have some tiny print, so just so you can see the I don't know who I should thank for the graphics. We talked a long time about the flow chart. We worked on the flow chart together, sort of discussing how it would look. I think it came from the CTLE, so thank them for their graphic design eye. Really the flow of this flow chart moves from the upper left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner. And the hope and the ideal is that the process will take between 5 to 6 weeks, which is significantly faster than our old way of moving policies through. There will be opportunities for entire community comment on policies. And as I said, it starts in the upper left-hand corner. That taupey, orangey color is basically an idea comes forward. And the idea could come from anybody and really anybody. It could come from somebody, a staff person who's working, say, in the registrar's office and sees that there's a process problem or we're out of sync with policy or process, and they'll bring it to the provost's attention. So in the upper left-hand corner, and you could also include in those policy initiators, and this is on me, I should have put the PAC, the Policy Advisory Committee, because they're the folks who are going to be keeping an eye on the deadlines. Like some of these policies have to be reviewed well, they all do, at least every 5 years. And so there's been a historic problem of having some very old academic policies on the books, and so I imagine a number of initiators will be, one of the important initiators will be the PAC. Okay, so then it goes to the writers in the green, and it's writers because it could be, if it's a small job, and oftentimes those of you who've been on policy committees in the past, you know, sometimes they're really small items, like we miscalculated the number of semester credit hours when we were identifying, I don't know, full-time status in some obscure policy somewhere. That would be a writer, would make that fix. But should there be a larger issue at hand, like a major revision, there would be a stakeholder group that would actually participate in the writing. no matter how it works, a stakeholder group would be involved. So in the case of, if it was a very mechanical, procedural process that involved the registrar, they might not be involved in the writing of it, but we would certainly share the results with them and get the feedback. So that would work in that fashion. If they had any comments, it would go back to the policy writers. The policy writer or writers would revise it. Then it would move to a SharePoint site, much like was done with the policies regarding Senate Bill 37 last summer. So we followed that. That process worked really, really well. We got a lot of feedback. I think it was cleaner than in the past when we were circulating emails and so forth. So we got more participation. And so we'll sort of follow that version. So if there were significant changes as a result of that process, you can see it would bend back, possibly if there were major, and back to that SharePoint site. If not, it would go straight to cabinet review and then ultimately for the president's signature. So that's sort of the flow of the policies. The good news is a lot of our policies underwent significant change and rethinking over the last year as we were getting ready for our SACS reaffirmation of accreditation. That's the good news. A lot of them are really fit for purpose. The bad news is, of course, because of Senate Bill 37, there's been some structural changes, and so we got to tweak the wording here and there because some bodies and some committees no longer exist or their names have changed and so forth. So that's the sum of, I suppose, the flow of policy. Any questions? Yes.
Tony Hong, CHSS. Does this process change or is it impacted by summertime? Meaning, is there like certain time in the calendar year that we don't want to?
Right. I think as always, there's going to be the summertime version. I think will likely, if it's like a statute that changes and we've got to make the change, we got to make the change. But I would imagine in 99.9% of the time, we're not going to be doing this over the summer, going through this process. I think having in some ways, having the shorter flow as we have here will concentrate people's minds, I hope, and they'll be following exactly what's going on, as opposed to saying like, oh, it's going to come around again. So,
thank you.
Ryan Pepper. Is the stakeholder feedback supposed to be about 1 to 2 weeks as well? Or is that more indefinite?
That's more like 1 week.
Okay.
I think that's what we're looking at. 1 week.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Dr. Quanter.
Okay, well, thank you for those of you who have volunteered to be on the new Faculty Affairs Council and the Research and Innovation Council, both of which I chair. So I'll talk a little bit about both. The Faculty Affairs Council, I see it as having two parts, right? It's like sort of the operational part because it oversees faculty development awards, parts of the faculty awards program. So we will have some things that we have to do that are just kind of operational. But then I see it as the opportunity to really advise, especially selfishly, my work, right? Because for the past few years, I've kind of been doing it and kind of thinking up, like, what are some things that would work? So I see this council as being able to help think about how to support faculty at all different ranks. So some things that have come up is definitely help with the Tenure Academy, but also looking at how we can support associate professors as they go up, how we can better support lecturers as they move up into senior lecturers. So I hope that we'll get to, it won't just become just operational tasks, that we will have some time to kind of think about things and come up with some new ways. Same with Research and Innovation Council. There will be some operative parts because there is overseeing of ORCA and TRIP, which is the Team Research Incubator Project. And then the Research Award for the Faculty Awards. But I know that Provost Bordelon is really hoping that this council will help drive some of the ideas. So ORSP has representation on it to kind of think about the ways that we can move forward in our research ventures, research and creative activities. So again, I hope that we're able to split it. One of the things for both of them is that we will be pulling, I mean, the people who are on these committees are not going to be expected, for example, to review all the ORCA proposals. Instead, they will, or those who volunteer to help, will have a committee or task force of reviewers, and will kind of be able to run review panels like some of the funding sources agencies do. So it won't be, I know it can kind of seem like it's a lot of work, but we will be using other faculty and asking other faculty to help with those different things. Same thing for the faculty awards. Again, the committee is not going to be overseeing, doing that. We will use a task force or committee of people to help with the faculty awards. Any questions? And I will say, so one of the first things, just to kind of illustrate what David showed, one of the first things that we're going to do for Faculty Affairs Council is kind of look at all the internal grants that we have and try to, because there's a lot of inconsistency, and I realize as the person who's trying to facilitate this, it's like some get reviewed in the departments, others don't. For those of y'all I've been in contact with, I know that there's lots of differences, the timelines are weird. So we're going to try to come up with one policy that is an internal grants policy. I've looked at several other institutions that have done this. And so Faculty Affairs Council and Faculty Council will all be stakeholder groups. So it'll come to you to give feedback before it then goes out for public comment. So we'll kind of get to see how this process works and kind of take notes on that and make sure it's feasible. Okay, any questions? Now,
Nell Sullivan. Will there be disciplinary and college diversity on the task force for awards and?
Yeah, and I think we will have on the Faculty Affairs Council and the Research and Innovation Council need to talk some about that. I mean, I've been able to hear a lot from people who have applied to these internal grant programs and people who have served on the past committees, and there's some pain points that I think we will need to address when we're on that committee. Again, better than it's just me kind of trying to work through these things like we have the council. So we will do that, but there are some other things I have in mind too to kind of bring up to think about as we think about who's going to help with those things.
John Roundtree, sorry Judith, I keep asking questions. So,
no, it's okay.
On ORCA, I've been on the ORCA
Yeah.
committee for a few years, or I was. So one of the pain points was feedback for participants.
Yes, absolutely.
And another one was the rubric.
Yeah.
Have y'all been looking at addressing that for this
Well,
cycle?
so we haven't met yet, but yes, it will be. So my goal this year was just to kind of keep as much as it is, not to stop the process. So for this year, we're just going to use what exists. Yes, one of the big issues or things that was brought up was that the rubric for ORCA, and then some things have come up to me about funded faculty leave as well, is that there isn't really a communicated rubric to people. So we will be looking at rubrics, we will be looking at templates, we'll be doing all of that. And that's what the committee will help with. All right, I look forward to meeting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Quick question. The applications for FFL that are already in the system
Yes.
don't have a rubric. And they will
Yeah.
be evaluated.
Yeah, and that's right, and so this, like I said, this cycle unfortunately is just gonna have to be kind of the way it was. Now, I do think the funded faculty leave is a little bit, and that's another one that we have to really, because the timeline got shifted because of the new regulations. So it is gonna be a little bit wonky this year. When I work with the committee, the people who are gonna review, we'll talk through that and definitely talk about that there's gonna have to be some allowances because the call came out last spring. But I know not everybody paid attention to it. I know I got some emails about, oh my gosh, it's due now. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But hopefully for the next cycle, everything will be.
How many do we have?
Funded faculty leave.
Not applications to give out.
Oh,
You know?
6.
6?
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Quanders. Provost Bordelon.
Thank you so much for, again, agreeing to serve on these councils. The Policy Advisory Council is fairly new. This was created last year, I believe, as we were looking at a body to take a look at policies and to monitor when policies were up for renewal, to be able to provide feedback. So we're moving it further and including more faculty and engagement on this particular policy. It will meet on the 3rd Friday of the month, but we may, because again, we're in October, we may take a look at perhaps having a meeting off-cycle just to get things started and then kind of go into the regular routine of that third Friday. But we have lots of policies that are reviewed on either a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year cycle. It would be nice with this particular council to take a look at, do we standardize perhaps that review process? As we've been preparing for our SAC-COC visit, it became clearly evident that we had a lot of policies that had not been revisited for quite some time. So, I know that there was a lot of work that was done last year to kind of move forward. But what we would like to do is to establish those guidelines so that way it is on a more regular cycle and that we're updating. And sometimes in an update, and this is where the Policy Advisory Council can come into play, in sharing that information, sometimes there may not be major changes, but that way we can show that it has been reviewed, updated, and then posted. For the Academic Affairs Council, we will be meeting on November the 7th. That council meets on the first Friday. It's in the morning, I believe it's 9:30 to 11. And again, this is a way of bringing together academic affairs. We also have representatives from Human Resources, from Student Affairs, Finance and Administration, all the entities on campus to talk about things that are happening in academics. So sometimes there are things that are related to budget, there are things that are related to facilities, there are policies, there are things that we may be discussing in this council. So it is a pretty large body, but we will be meeting to take a look at what are these things that are happening, to provide updates, and then, on the faculty council agenda, representatives, not me, it'll be someone else from the Academic Affairs Council will come and share information with you to kind of just give you an update on what is happening. The Academic Affairs Council is a body that has been in place for many years. I don't know quite, it was well before my time, and I think prior to that it had been in place for quite some time. But it is a mechanism to bring people together to talk about what is going on in academic affairs.
Any questions?
Catherine Shoemaker, just for my own clarification, how does the Policy Advisory Council fit with my nice little flow chart I have right here?
That is a wonderful question.
Thank you.
The Policy Advisory Council kind of oversees when policies need to be updated. And it's not, a place where the policies will necessarily be generated from, though you could have someone on that policy advisory council say, hey, we may need to take a look at that policy, and we'll start that flow chart process. But it's not limited to that. But this is a council that oversees, when policies need to be updated, are they posted on the website? Are they, how, there have been some cases where policies have been reviewed and they may be housed in one area, perhaps they need to be in another area, and those are conversations that need to be had. But it is a kind of more of an oversight, a larger view of policies, whereas the flow chart that is quite nice, and is it Casey in CTLE? Courtney, excuse me, Courtney in CTLE should get the credit because she did a beautiful job on that. But from the flow chart, policies could generate from a wide variety of sources, not just the Policy Advisory Council. But they would be updated on a regular basis on what policies are in the workflow, what needs to happen.
Can I say one thing? This is, okay, just to be clear, this is the academic affairs policy flow chart, right? So, right, so the, we're not the only ones that have policies, right? So, that flow chart fits in a much bigger picture that HR will be, I guess, sharing and talking about that process. But we just wanted to have documented what academic affairs, that process would look like.
And you may have seen emails that have come out from Christian Purdy on these policies have been updated, or to get feedback on policies. So again, the various areas could be sending out policies, and the Policy Advisory Council would be part of that, just that oversight process. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Provost. I want to mention, again, this is as we know, our first meeting, and I know it may seem a little bit like we're sitting and listening to the Provost's office. Two things. One, because we're such a new body, I felt, we, the executive committee, felt that it was good to get an idea, especially with the reorganization that has taken place within the last 3 months, as to what these different groups do, how they do what they do, and the role that we, as faculty council members, the roles that we play in that shared governance structure. And so I will tell you that in future meetings, it will not be sit and listen to half an hour of the provost office talking about what these councils do. I appreciate their willingness to come and share with us, to inform us what's going on, and then the role that we are expected to play in it as meaningful citizens in the University of Houston downtown community. Next up on the agenda is other. I wanted to leave a space open again as a new body. If there's, before we open the floor up to other participants, is there anything that anybody in this body would like to bring up, question, raise? And I would also remind you that to mention your name and yes.
Kenya Johnson, it's more of a logistical question, and it could be a me problem, but sometimes it's hard to hear some of my colleagues that are at far ends of the room, and I don't know how we can fit, like, clearly when people use the mic, I can hear that, but like I could not hear anybody on the right side of you. So I don't know if there's a way we can use more of the mic so we can hear everyone when they speak, because some people speak really soft.
Thank you for bringing that up. We will work on that for the next meeting.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Dr. Roundtree.
John Roundtree. Mine is sort of a logistical, I guess, question too, or request. This council relies on Robert's Rules of Order, but a lot of people have not been oriented to Robert's Rules of Order. Can we, I'd like to request some sort of brief orientation to that or something at a council meeting, or even outside of a council meeting that people could attend. because I think that'll help everyone participate more meaningfully.
I thank you for that. I'm sure that we can put something into place for that, but I will also refer you to the Faculty Council website where the Robert's Rules of Order are there. Believe me, I've spent the last week and a half reading them. But yes, we'll put together an offering. But again, if you pull up the Faculty Council website, there is actually specifically a link to Robert's Rules of Order. Thank you for bringing it up. Dr. Moore.
Yes, so I had already submitted the Qualtrics, but I just wanted to take the time to advocate or nominate myself to the UCC Council, since we were still missing somebody from CHSS. And since I know that meeting is on Friday, I wanted to make sure that it didn't get lost in the mix.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Dr. Benavides,
I self-nominate to UCC.
UCC on behalf of CHSS. Dr. John?
Yes, Chris John from the College of Business. I have two questions. The first one was, could you please, is that possible for the future, you could share with us the information of the votes, so we know who are the candidates to vote, so we can have a little bit prior information instead of we just on the spot too.
I would be happy to do that, Dr. John. I would also say that the returns were coming in as late as this morning.
Okay, got it.
So I will tell you again, the three of us are a week and a half into this, and we're trying to do it. And again, initially, we were asked to do this, and if you saw on the message that was sent out last week, we tried to close it Thursday at 5. Had we done that, it wouldn't be as complete as it is now. And so I appreciate your raising the issue of timeliness, and believe me, we will be very much about that, and we will be as open and transparent.
Thank you.
You're
well,
very
that's
welcome.
why I said,
Thank you for bringing it up. No, trust me.
I do have second, just by law, it says that, okay, we cannot, as a faculty council, we cannot have more than 2 membership. Is that, I just want to clarify, is that true, right? For example, if you are sitting in the faculty council plus another committee or subcommittee, that's the maximum you can sit. Because I'm sitting at the general education council, so which means I cannot participate any other subcommittee. Is that what
I would like to ask Dr. Portolano?
You can serve on the Gen Ed committee as well as others. In the faculty council bylaws, it's primarily those shared governance, those 3 shared governance committees of university curriculum committee, faculty affairs, and the research and innovation. So no more, you can serve on the faculty council, executive committee, or one of those 3. But there are a lot of committees that are available university-wide, as well as, I know, at the college level and departmental level. But at the university level, there are several committees that we want participation in. So no, you are not limited to.
So I can have faculty council plus 1 subcommittee like UCC plus general education. Oh, okay.
If you choose to do that.
Oh, I don't know. That's why I responded to Pita. She encouraged me to, which I appreciate. Yeah, I will volunteer for. I forgot. It was policy something. It's missing from College of Business.
Volunteer to which council? Policy.
Policy advisor.
Feedback.
As a follow-up, Ms. Portolano, as a follow-up to Dr. Zhang's question, is our membership on university committees in general open only to faculty council members?
No, it's only those that are listed in the faculty council bylaws, and then the academic affairs council and the policy advisory council. The other committees that are university-wide, again, they have their charges and membership, and there may be some restrictions as far as how many members from a particular college, but it's open to any individual in the faculty assembly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's share that with our colleagues. Any other?
Now,
Dr. Sullivan?
I'd actually like to piggyback off those. At our departmental meeting yesterday, Dr. Hill presented to us the proposed faculty workload policy that's being circulated, and it was apparently written before the new structure took place. And in that proposed faculty workload, it stipulated a certain number of committees that we have to be on. And I don't have it in front of me, I apologize, but it was something like 6 committees of different ilks, and it seemed awfully excessive to me. I don't see how, under the current model, anyone could be on 6 high-power committees in order to achieve the level that this policy was saying we had to meet in order to fulfill our workload obligations. Could you speak to that?
Sure, yeah, so that proposed policy, again, it's like 3 years old now. And yes, it was a small task force that kind of came together to come up with ideas or ways to spread service around, basically. One, yes, absolutely, with the current changes, we are gonna have to go back and look at that, and that will be something Faculty Affairs Council takes a look at. The other piece of it, shoot, it was dealing with something. Oh, it didn't take into consideration departmental or college level committees. And so one of the things, that policy came out of the strategic plan goal G, where we were supposed to, or D, thank you, goal D, where we were supposed to be looking at workload. And so one of the things that group that's still working on that goal D asked, and this is what I'll be working on this semester, is to actually start looking at the department level committees and the college level committees so that we have a better sense of how much committee work there actually is. And then we will have to look at the university committees differently now too. So that one is about 1.5 years old.
I still was taken aback by the great number of committees. I mean, I think even in 2005 when I won the service award, I was on maybe 9 committees, and that was considered great service. And this was stipulating 6 as just meeting the minimum.
Yeah.
That seems extremely, and I'm wondering, were any faculty members involved in this workforce who actually do service work and teach 4 courses in the fall and have to do scholarship? What, was anyone of that ilk involved?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there were faculty members, a couple of department chairs, and a dean. Now, what was supposed to happen was it was supposed to come to Faculty Senate at some point in the past. It went to, it just never really took off. So we're gonna start again, and even that version of it will probably be changed quite a bit. I think at the idea, the time was, which I don't think is bad, and we will look at again, was kind of stacking it to say, the higher up in rank you are, the more service you're responsible for. And so that's probably how it got to 6, to kind of take off the pressure of the pre-tenured faculty.
6
Again,
is a lot.
it's a draft, and
But
we
it's
are
a
going to,
lot.
well, and we can just, and for sure, I don't even, maybe we'll take that up in the spring, but again, that's going to be Faculty Affairs Council that needs to kind of help think through that, because a lot has changed since then too.
And just may I interpose too that it also doesn't take into account disciplinary service, serving on boards, doing peer reviews for journals. It just sort of assumes that we just serve department or university level committees and have absolutely no other work.
Yeah, I agree.
And I do think, and hopefully Faculty Affairs will be heavily faculty driven, they have to take into account workload as a whole. It seemed to me if you were doing 6 committees as just meeting basic requirements, you wouldn't have time to grade papers, write new materials, or publish. 6 is a lot. It is a lot of committee work.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, we're going to have to kind of start from scratch and gather more data, I think is the main thing. So, duly noted, this will not come out with 6 on there.
Okay, thank you.
Other question?
Yes, just I want to ask about the definition of committees in that sense. For example, if we're talking about the search committee that our colleagues volunteer, is that committee or not? the faculty handbook committee. Is that committee or task force, or any task force is included or not? Do I have a definition for that, please?
That is a great question. Yeah, and I think, so I will say for the group, when we're working on that, we didn't know like the different department, or how many department committees. Like I've learned that some colleges have a lot of college level committees and some don't, right? So, I mean, it's gonna have to look different. So that's kind of our starting point, is to kind of figure out how much of that exists. And then kind of start looking at, one of the things that we were trying to do with faculty success was also use that as a way of collecting that data. So for people putting in, this is the service work I'm doing, including external service, so that we get a better sense of what everyone is doing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Quander.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next item we've got up on the agenda is an opportunity for public comment and open forum. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of our meeting, when you come up to speak to the mic, would you please identify yourself by name so to help our secretary. And I know that the first person who has asked to speak is Dr. Duncan.
Sorry, my butt got sore from sitting so long. Thank you, Dr. Mandel, for allowing me to speak. It won't take more than a couple of minutes. You all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I'm Dr. Mike Duncan, professor of English department, and I'm the recently elected president of the new UHD chapter of the American Association of University Professors, AAUP. You've probably got some emails from me recently. There used to be a chapter here in the past, but it went defunct, so we went through the formal process again. AAUP, if you're unfamiliar, was founded in 1915. First president was John Dewey, if you're a philosopher in education. People like Albert Einstein remembers. Now, I don't want to comment on the age of the people in the room, but I think their definition of academic freedom and tenure is older than anybody in the room, before you were born. Certainly me. It remains a widely distributed faculty-led group, and it's committed to your rights to teach and research and speak freely. Members receive legal advice and representation. The professors recently fired at Texas A&M and Texas State are not paying for their lawyers, for example. They lobby in state legislatures, in this case Texas, on bills concerning higher education. And the national organization is also heavily involved in national court cases involving academic freedom. There's a big one that just won involving Harvard. In Texas, AUP is partnered with AFT, the American Federation of Teachers. If you're a member of one, you're a member of the other. But perhaps more importantly, AUP offers the support and advocacy of peers from your campus. Membership in Texas this year has exploded. That's not even an exaggeration. It has doubled both in members. There are currently 2,300 members statewide and 95 chapters. That surge is a direct response to the hostile climate to higher education in Texas and nationwide. Something's going on that's bigger than any of us. Our chapter alone has grown fast enough that we have yet to get around to forming a membership committee. I've yet to ask anyone to join, and I don't plan to ask. They just come. As events threatening the basic principles of our vocation arise, and they seem to arise with increasing frequency these days, and as shared governance processes of this university dwindle, we're here to offer an alternative hand. Someone asked me the other day what my political agenda was. Well, this is it. We don't want you to be fired. We don't want you to not be able to do your job without interference. And we want you to have a strong voice on how the university is run and how you teach your classes. I'm not difficult to find if you have any questions, but I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Duncan. For future reference, and because again, we're putting this together as quickly as we have, there will always be an opportunity at the end of our agenda for public comments, and all public comments are welcome. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, our meeting is broadcast. This is not Zoom. And so if you would like to participate and speak at this meeting, we have to require that you do so in person. And I would also request that you send an email message to the faculty council at uhd.edu beforehand so that we can make adequate allowance for such presentation on our agenda. I wouldn't want anybody not to have an opportunity to do so. If you haven't done it beforehand, however, that does not mean that you will not have an opportunity to speak if you so choose. There will be a sign-in in the future meetings that when you come to the meeting, before you sit down, please sign in if you're interested to speak when you arrive. And it will just give us an opportunity or a way to incorporate you handily into the agenda. That said, is there anybody else here present that would like to have an opportunity to speak to the council? Hearing no other people speaking from the general public, is there anything else that my esteemed colleagues might like to offer before we close today's meeting? Hearing no such comment, does anybody have a problem if we end this meeting 15 minutes early?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Daniel Perez, motion adjourned.
Moore, and seconded?
Yep.
Judith Harris. And all those in favor, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, would you sit here until our next meeting? Thank you all so very much.
I had a lot of energy this morning.